She could have been the OG Aunt Viv out here baking cakes, or, I still can dance, or whatever it was and is. But she chose to stay in that space and continue to bring it up and pull it up and talk about Will, which caused him to, I believe he said crazy stuff about her too.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the second part of another episode of the Confab experience.
Yes.
Such a good time talking to each other. I mean, who wouldn't have a good time talking to us? But we just have a lot to say, and we still want to talk, and we still want to chop it up, and there's still things going on in the world and in pop culture that we
so
have
much more
commentary about. So we're just gonna keep on talking if you guys don't mind.
Yes,
Audience.
we're like we're like in the desert, like we the water of conversation with the four of us. We're like, we want more.
We've been parched. We have been parched.
and there's so much going on, and it feels like it's going it's like this year is going so slow, but also going so fast.
Things are happening.
Things
so
happening
fast.
so rapid fire.
Agreed.
Rapid fire. So I don't know if you guys have watched the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air reunion show. Has anybody watched that?
Yes.
I didn't watch that, but I watched the Red Table Talk that Will Smith did with his therapist about it.
Okay.
So when I watched the reunion, first off, I think I forgot how much I love the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
That's true.
Such a good show.
That show was everything. It was so good. And there was such memorable stuff from there.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't know if it gets the credit that it deserves for like.
Know what happened? Will Smith went on to do such great things that it kind of overshadowed, like, wait, no, that was a really great show.
I think you're right.
Yeah, I think you're right too.
I think you're right. It became like a footnote, like, because then the minute he's leaving that, didn't he like do Bad Boy? Like, it was just like the Will Smith show. Yes. So I took away from that, like, I was like, oh gosh, this was such a great episode. But really, the headline of it was Janet Hubert, the original Aunt Viv.
Aunt Viv.
And Will Smith got together. So the backstory here, for like a quick backstory, is she got fired, or at least that's what was spent out in the news media, for being difficult and a diva and all of this stuff. And she's been bitter, right? That's really where I want to be.
Very bitter.
She has been so bitter. She has devoted YouTube, like things
energy,
about energy. Like you can tell that there's a piece of her that died with her leaving the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air because of how she has been unable to move from that space.
Well, she feels like afterwards, like he gave her the scarlet letter by calling her difficult. She said by calling a Black woman specifically difficult, made other people unwilling to work with her. And she was like, she was just out of this abusive relationship. She just had she was pregnant on the Fresh Prince. So she had a baby at home and she couldn't work. And she attributes all of that to him. So she was not walking past it. Like,
she said past it. She said calling a Black woman difficult in Hollywood, especially a dark-skinned Black woman, the kiss of death. Is a kiss of death. And that felt very like kind of what Monique has been, not you, Monique, comedian Monique.
Yes.
It felt like that, that's also the scarlet letter that's been pinned on her as well. But no,
she's like, I will not wear it. I will not wear that scarlet letter. Monique is like fighting it hard.
You could tell you could really tell she was hurt, and you could tell that she did not want to let him like off the hook. Like there were a couple times he tried to kind of move past it, and she was like, and let me just say this other thing. And he kind of had that face where like when your mom is like calling you out for something that you did wrong,
Mhm.
you know, and you like you are embarrassed. Like I felt like his face looked like I gotta keep it together, but like I'm embarrassed. And I don't
So
think he fully explained. I felt like I wanted more from him on his side of what he actually did.
Did he get more into it on the red table? Like what exactly?
Not really.
So this is what I want to talk about.
Yeah.
The acting that I think took place on Will Smith's side. I think that he didn't explain. He on the red table talk, his therapist describes it as he took not physical, emotional like blows, punches. And I think that he sacrificed himself for the narrative that she needed to have out there so that she could move on. Because for him, this ain't affect his life not one bit.
Oh,
Right.
Not one bit.
Well,
Not-
she
not
kind
one.
of hinted, like she kind of pushed towards that too. She was like, "You've been able to move on and be wonderful, and you know all of this. Like I've been stuck here."
Cause she don't isn't there a part of you that feels like because she wanted to be stuck there?
I mean, not for
No.
Who
nothing.
knows?
Not for nothing. And I understand that, like, I am a person whose personality does not harp on things. Like, I move past things very easily and quickly. I don't really hold grudges, that sort of thing. And I understand that he, in that time, ruined her life, ruined her career, ruined her life, all that. I get it. That was 30 years ago. 30 years. You have a whole 30-year-old child at this point because you had a baby at that point. Your child is 30. I mean, at some point, do you not just like let
She couldn't let it go.
of you?
She couldn't let it go.
30 years.
And she kept getting in the better, and the more successful he got, the more bitter she got.
I mean, I'm sure that's part, like that would be a hard part of it, right? To know that this person, like in your mind, ruined your life and they are like have astronomical success and fame. Like that would be very, very hard. But I mean, I just like I can't, 30
I would
years is
feel some
a
kind of
really
way.
long time. I mean, I would feel a kind of way,
everyone
but I
feel a
wouldn't
way.
feel
Because
I wouldn't be making content and putting energy towards it the way that she did. I would
because
just
I
be
feel
like, you're
like
out of my life. And I'm
I don't
done
know
with
what her career was leading up to the Fresh Prince,
She
right?
was like
Broadway.
Broadway.
you.
Okay. So
Jinx.
she's like classically trained doing Broadway. She gets on the Fresh Prince, which is her break or whatever. And then her career comes to a screeching halt. So I don't know how did she get a divorce? How has she been able to take care of herself? How has she been able to take care of her child? Like, I don't know any of that, right? So who knows? But if his life went here and her life went down,
Had the inverse.
I get from a health, like mental health perspective, like she should have found a way to move past this. But I can see why you'd be like, this little 21-year-old.
I can see
didn't
that
even
too.
know
I
the
can see
impact that
that
he was
too.
having. And on top of that, she was being abused. She was in an abusive relationship.
I think there's some sort of like probably the feeling attached in that space in her life. You know, there's like feelings attached to like both situations.
Yeah.
It causes her, you know, like hurt and like damage.
How both these men hurt me.
Yes,
Like,
yes, that's
So
true.
I
That's so
get
true.
that, but man.
And who knows if she was really able to deal with the hurt with the professional, how, you know, if she's has she gone to therapy, has she really been able to, or has she just been stewing?
It seems like she's just been stewing.
I mean,
And
maybe she went to a professional. But
what are you guys basing that on, that she's been stewing?
Oh my gosh. She has been on countless TV shows. She has been on YouTube specifically. YouTube at her kitchen table talking about, let me tell you about Will and Jada. Okay? Like she has been, every time something big happened for Will, you can catch her on YouTube. Just not
So can I just devil's advocate that?
Mm-hmm.
One, so if she is somebody who couldn't get a job in Hollywood afterwards, and somebody comes to her and is like, "Oh, we want to interview you. We are going to ask you about this. We are going to ask you about this Will Smith situation, like, or else you can't get whatever X amount of money. I don't know if people get paid for interviews. Then she's going to be forced to talk about it because that's the last thing that people know her for, right? And or if she's trying to get views to her YouTube channel,
right?
Like, you're not going to go watch Janet Hubert talk about, oh, I baked a lemon cake yesterday. Like, but you are going to watch because there's some type of, ongoing drama attached to Will Smith, who's the biggest.
No, I think she
star.
could have parlayed if she really, like, there could have been space for it in some way, especially once we moved to the YouTube era. She could have been the OG Aunt Viv out here baking cakes, or, I still can dance, or whatever it was and is. But she chose to stay in that space and continue to bring it up and pull it up and, talk about Will, which caused him to, I believe he said crazy stuff about her too.
Well, you know who really said crazy stuff about her? Alfonso Ribeiro.
Really?
I don't know about that.
In his stand-up.
It was a stand-up?
Stand up?
Okay.
Yo.
I was 8 years old.
Right.
Yeah, he really has a problem with her. And the rest of the cast
didn't show up, did he? Wasn't there something about him not showing up?
What he said was, when she came on set, he had to go back to do America's Funniest Home Videos. America's Funniest Home Videos at that moment, because that was a tag on. They weren't going to include her in the 30-year thing, but she came out saying that how dare they. There was an episode, there was a, I don't know what the butler's name is, Jeffrey, what his real name is in real life.
Nope. Even though Alfonso Ribeiro did stand up. What was that? What's that?
Maybe he was like, this might have been before America's Funniest Home Video came out, so he was just trying to make some money. I don't know.
Okay.
Those residual checks were going down. I don't know. I'm making it up. All I know is he said some nasty things about her. And I know that Jeffrey, on a podcast, when asked about the whole situation, he said, he corroborated that she wanted it to be the Aunt Viv show. And she walked around. I think she probably was difficult. Nothing about that interview with Will Smith and her made me think that any lies were detected. She seems like she holds herself in an esteem. And that very, and
it was the voice for me. And in the interview after, I saw like some interviews she did afterwards, and she was like, it was like the breathy kind of way she said everything. It was like, all right.
Like,
you're giving it all.
It's so much. And then and even in that, they asked about where Alfonso was. And she said, I think he had a work thing or whatever. America's Funniest Home Videos, which I haven't watched since he's been on it. I thought we were healed. I thought you got the healing you needed.
In the huddle? The last huddle?
No.
Oh, okay. So the whole section where she came in, he was not there. Oh, it didn't.
He was gone. Yeah.
Is that why they brought Nikki in? Little Nikki? Who they spent all of 5 seconds on?
I didn't see.
They didn't even need to bring Nikki back. Ain't nobody remember Nikki. Ain't nobody remember who Nikki was. Who Nikki?
I legit was like, who Nikki? What part of the show?
Like when they all acted surprised and happy, I'm like, y'all don't invite him when y'all do cast reunions, like when y'all are just having lunch. Nobody cares about that kid.
Have you guys seen any of them since Fresh Prince?
Yes, Tatiana Ali has a place on Hallmark Channel and sometimes Lifetime.
Yeah. She does those hardcore. I did see Hillary in something, but it was like, like I almost didn't even. I was like, that's her.
The fact that y'all don't know their real names, Jeffrey the Butler and Hillary.
I said Tatiana Ali. I just
say Tatiana.
This is when what like we talked about a few episodes ago, and we always talk about like representation mattering. That's not a word. Matters.
Mhm.
Is it not?
Mattering, maybe. I don't know. I just remember as a child seeing Tatiana Ali, and she's about our age, maybe a little bit older, maybe a little bit younger. And I just remember thinking, oh my gosh, she's so pretty.
Mm.
And so maybe that's why I remember her name, because I was like, oh, like she just was, I thought she was super pretty. And I was like, oh, look, she's on TV.
Like that could be me.
Yeah, like I just liked her. I just enjoyed and related to like her quirkiness and all of that. Anyway, so I know her name, but I do not know Hillary's name, and I do not know
Little
Jeffrey's
Nikki's
name.
name.
And who the hell is Nikki? Nikki ain't even an actor anymore. I'd like fight me. I don't know who he is.
No, I don't. So I think my biggest problem with it was because I only saw the Red Table Talk, and it just seemed like Will Smith was so like self-congratulatory about him like agreeing to meet with her and him sitting and listening. And I mean, his therapist also was very like, oh, you did all the right things and you said all of the right things and you let her speak and you listened. Like, it was just like very like self-indulgent.
Yeah.
To me, like he really was just like, look, everyone, look how great I am. Like, I let her get her story out and I'm still great. Like, I don't know. There was something weird about it for me.
That's how I felt about the special. Like it felt like the Will Smith show.
Yeah.
And then like even when he was like telling stories, they were all like, or like he would finish Alfonso's sentences. It felt a little bit like, it just felt a little bit bizarre, except for the section that was around like James Avery. That section felt real to me. But it was a little bit, I don't know. Like
let me do you guys this favor by having this special because I'm Will Smith and everyone will watch it because I'm here.
I mean, but right?
Well, no, right. And I think, and Will has spoken about this, Siobhan, I completely agree. I think that when he called Janet, he knew he was going to do this whole thing because I think that his brand has evolved, and he mentioned it into this whole like, live the life you want to live and do the things you want to do. But more recently, when watching Will Smith, specifically around the Bad Boys 2 press 3, 4, what Bad Boys are we on? 3. The Bad Boy press tour, specifically. The thing that I noticed about Will Smith that I don't know that I've picked up before is how he's a cocky motherfucker. Like he is very into himself. He is very into who Will Smith is.
Yeah.
Very into the Will Smith show. And Martin Lawrence sat there and nodded like, And he was like, tell him about the time. He holds court.
Holds court. That's what it is. Hold court.
He holds court in everything that he does. And so honestly, it's hard for me to find the like his real authentic self.
So in the Bad Boys like press thing or whatever, they went on some show or they did something where they each had to answer questions. So it was Martin and Will.
I know what you're gonna say.
And they had to answer questions about each other's life. So it was like, who's the bigger friend or whatever like that. Martin knew every single thing about Will. And Will could not name not one of his children, like anything. It was so messy. He was like, man, I'm gonna look so bad doing this. And like, what's his wife's name? And like they asked them both, and like Martin's like, Jada. He's like, like he didn't know anything.
Yes, I heard about that.
It sucks too because we all could answer the questions about Will, right? It doesn't necessarily mean he's
that's true.
his friend or whatever, right? But it just shows like they spend all that time together and they are not friends. But
the biggest problem is that Will was trying to sell the friendship.
Yeah.
Such good friends.
That's true.
Like we're this,
like,
we're
that's
this.
my boy. We had to do another one.
I'm surprised they let that go out.
It was like on Ellen, and I don't know if it was live or not, but
it was to edit that out.
It was it was bad.
No,
It was bad.
And Martin, I mean, I never thought he looked so. He was like he looked so sad.
Now I do think, because I saw a couple of those, and it could very well be that Will Smith is very overbearing and holding court, but I also think like Martin Lawrence apparently is also pretty introverted as a person.
That's what I hear
Comic.
too.
So it's sort of like you're gonna have that dynamic anyway. Like he's always just gonna be like, say what you gotta say. Unless you ask me a direct question, I'm just gonna smile and nod. So in all fairness, it's not like he was like trying to get like his, you know, his story.
Yeah.
But still.
No, it's true. No, and so that's why I wasn't like, oh, that's terrible. It was noticeable.
It was noticeable.
It was noticeable. It wasn't terrible, but I definitely was like, you do have to consider the fact that I don't know. And I think that Martin has become way more introverted. Like I think that he was always, or I don't think that you switch it, but I think that after he has regrounded himself and taken care of his own mental health and things of that nature, that you can just tell that he is in a very zen place. Yeah. So
fair.
But yeah, I'm glad that we talked about that, because I was just like, this is so like I was like, look at these two actors acting. Will acting like he's hurt. Will's acting like, tell me more about how you're feeling. Meanwhile, he was like, B, you know you were on that set acting like you were Queen of Sheba. Like, how come everybody else gets along, but we can't get along with you? There's something wrong with you. Like, that's what he wanted to say, but he was just like, right. Oh, it was me who said it. But
I really do think that he also wanted it to be over too. Yeah. Like wanted this whole narrative, I think they both kind of just were like ready for it to end.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if she is, because, you know, but at least at this point, he can now say, I have addressed it. And now if she comes out, like it was kind of strategic in a way, because now if she comes out and has anything else to say, then people are just gonna be like, oh, now definitely she's bitter, because now we all heard the story and he has apologized and blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, I think it was kind of strategic in that sense.
So I have not seen the new Kevin Hart special on
Don't
Netflix.
bother.
Yeah, you know, I have decided that I don't think Kevin Hart's that funny, but I
enjoy Kevin Hart. I think he's funny.
I think he
respect
his
really
funny.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
I think he's become commercial.
What'd you say? I think he used to be really funny.
Pew, 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 pew.
2010, Kevin Hart. That's hilarious. Hilarious. Say it with your chest. Hilarious.
Pew, everybody's gotta die. Anyway.
Yeah, the last two specials.
He has had, okay. I don't know if there's anything from the last two specials that we could, like, people are going to be quoting for years, but like, say it with your chest. You going to learn today. Like, all these things have made its way into, right?
Yeah.
All those things have like made their way into like pop culture, like, you know, funniness.
Yeah.
And I understand what you mean, but I did find this special funny. But what got under your? You just said you didn't see it, Stace. So like,
well,
what's your problem? What's your beef?
You know, though I didn't see it, I like to also think, in addition to be a rap aficionado, I do stay up with current events. And so on all the circuits, they're talking about the one joke that he has where he talks about his daughter and her dating and exhibiting he's like, my daughter's a hoe, or exhibiting hoe behavior or something like that.
He said, oh, this is hoe behavior. Hoe behavior. This is hoe-like tendencies.
And I gotta say, I think that was like very like negligent, and as a father, just like really inappropriate for him to say. His daughter is a teenager, she's in high school. I think that you have to think like, now the kids go to school and be like, oh, you exhibited hoe behavior. Like, was it worth the joke? The joke wasn't even that funny.
The joke wasn't that funny. I haven't made it all the way through. because I didn't find it that funny, the whole special. It's like, you know, but I also think that there is something funny when comedians talk about their children like regular people. like when they actually say the thoughts that you're not supposed to say as a parent.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
like you might have them, but you're just like, okay, you know, it's not gonna be socially acceptable to say them. I do think that there's something very funny about that. And I didn't think the joke was that offensive. It really.
Leanna, I feel like you hit it right on the head, because I could see some dude, like, you know, trying to be, and he put it all like, me and my daughter are really close. You know, we talk about everything. So she comes home and she says, you know, I like Johnny. And then a week later, oh no, me and Johnny is done. I like Tim. And then after that, she's like, oh, Bob is my world. And he's like, hold on now.
Right.
This is 3 dudes in a month. My daughter might be a hoe, you know, like, and I think that people, like, guys probably do have thoughts like that in their head, but you could never say it out loud.
You can never say that.
So I thought it was funny.
So
it made me chuckle.
So I think the issue, my issue, I think, with the special is because he's so like, he's being so protective of his brand. He can't go as hard as as a comedian, you think a comedian would go. So like, even that, it's like he sandwiched it with the like, we're really close. And then he makes the joke, and then he does the like sandwich on the other side where he's like, but no, you know, then I met the boys. That's what he said. Then I met the boys and they were really good guys. So I can see why she liked them. Right. So you can see that he's like trying to cushion the joke and like make it okay for him to say this.
Yeah.
Right.
That to me is why this special wasn't really that funny. Like even the joke about like his ex-wife, where he's like, I didn't run that joke by her. I know I'm going to get a call. Like, we don't need to know, you know, we don't need to know all the background of like what you need to do in order to clear these jokes. Like, just be cutting edge and, you know, say inappropriate things about your ex-wife that you're not supposed to say. And own it.
Yeah.
Okay. He's now a CEO of a large company and brands and all this stuff. Like, I don't think that he no longer has that freedom. And so that's why I feel like he might need to just move away from stand-up. Like, if you're not going to be free with it, then this might not be free.
I also think that I think that his kids are used to it. He started out from when his little boy was young.
Oh, he
like,
said he was dumb.
My son is stupid.
Like he's
dumb.
He's like,
he can't even hold his head up.
And he's still calling him dumb. So I'm sure they're used to it.
So I think that they're used to it. I think that there's a real like, you know, these things are just jokes. Daddy don't mean this. And I think that they believe it, and they don't have any problem with it.
Or they might, and they can go to therapy and they'll be fine.
Because he can afford it.
Therapy. Right. Because he's rich, as you mentioned many times.
My dad is a self-proclaimed comedian. Now, he's not telling jokes all over the world, but he will hold court in any group that is happening. And we are always the butts of his jokes. So like in a small sense, I could kind of understand that kind of thing. And whatever it is, like he could tell, there's one story that he tells over and over again, and every year it gets bigger and worse and whatever. And it doesn't matter. We all know. It's like, he's going to tell it. And if somebody new comes around, he'll find a way to tell it again, and it'll be whatever. And you just like, So I think that his kids had that same level of, oh, that's just dad. Right. And then added on to it, and he's going to buy me these new whatever. Right. You know what I mean? Like,
he'll be in the private jet.
Yeah, the private jet. So,
yeah. I understand, Stacia, kind of what you're saying is like, from like, we didn't think it was that offensive. Maybe even she didn't think it was that offensive, to Monique's point, but it's like the kids at school are now going to be like, oh, you a hoe. But if that's the only clip that they see, but they also know that that's Kevin Hart too. Right. Like that's how famous he is, that like they can also put it in context, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe we're giving 15-year-old kids too much credit, but
I don't know. I just remember being 15 and like the smallest things can like make you feel insecure about. But maybe, you know, if my daddy was Kevin Hart, I wouldn't have those insecurities. I don't.
Like on that big stage, and like trust me, they go to the school where there are other people in there who, you know what I'm saying, like they go
Like
to
Terry
some private
Crews'
school where they're
children.
yeah.
I'm sure they're ribbing Terry Crews' children more than they're ribbing Kevin Hart's children.
True.
Yeah, so I mean
So Kevin Hart's
celebrity
too
kids,
rich. He's too rich.
He's too rich.
celebrity kids have a
Mhm.
lot to deal with, and you know,
Yeah.
they've got to work their way out. But I didn't find it very offensive. I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
I didn't find it offensive. I just didn't find it funny.
I only watched it to have this conversation.
Me too.
So.
Because I was so disappointed by his last special. I just feel like
The last one I remember being like,
like at some point it's sort of like what, like I don't want to hear jokes about how rich you are. Like I don't want to hear jokes about how you're so famous. Like
was that really like his living room?
probably.
It was some
Or his
portion of
basement,
his house.
yeah.
It's like not
It
in the
seemed
like
like-
the portion of his house that he.
I was like looking, I was like, where? Gosh, how far back does it go? I'm
Yeah.
trying to like size it up.
Yeah, like I don't want to hear jokes about how you went to Seinfeld's house. And then like, you know what I mean? Like it just
Mhm.
I can't
not
like when you're
relatable.
telling jokes about like your family and like your crazy uncle, or you know, back when you were poor and had to do such and such because of such and such. It's like it gets to a certain point where it's like,
But his thing has always been his life. Like he's always telling us his life.
I know
It's
his
he's
life
not
just isn't that interesting
political. He's
anymore.
not whatever. So, but I understand. Like at some, you know, we're just maybe we've moved on.
Mm-hmm.
But
I have moved on. Fool me
Fair
once,
enough.
Kevin Hart. Shame on you. Watch that latest special. Shame on me.
Oh no. No.
Just saying.
Wow.
I appreciate his grind and his hustle. He's a very hard worker.
Very hard worker.
Has worked for everything that he has, and I respect it. Just don't think it's funny anymore.
I think
Yeah.
the part that I'm a little bit like is like the way that he sounds in interviews now. So like him being like, well, like mad that people don't like it, feeling some kind of feeling like Sean Kingish that way.
I mean, he called it 0 F's given
Yeah, but he does
because he knew people weren't gonna like it.
So
Yeah. Puffy talked about this a while ago. He said it's an epidemic. Apparently, it's
gosh.
still sweeping the nation.
Puffy's
Called
not
it
the only
bitch-
one who talked about it a while ago.
Oh, who else talked about it?
Stacia Gaskin.
Stacia Gaskin every time she
Every
gets
time.
a chance.
Bitch assness. I just want to give the credit to the person who originated it, and
He
I like to
appreciates
call it
it.
out. And
I love that you keep calling him Puffy. He will
What's his
always
newest
forever
name?
be Puffy.
He hasn't been Puffy since like 2001.
What's his new name, guys? I think it's Puffy. I think he went back to Puffy.
Oh, okay.
Did he?
Yeah, I would put at least 25 cents on that.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hey,
Oh.
big
I thought he was
spender.
Diddy the longest.
Oh, did he? No, yeah, no, he's Puffy to me. I don't know.
Right, I thought it was Diddy.
It could be. It could be. I
He
could
was
be
like he
losing
was
that
Puff
25
Daddy,
cents.
then he was Puffy, then he was P Diddy or Puff
P.
Daddy, Puff. I don't know, P
Diddy,
Diddy.
and then just Diddy. I don't
Diddy.
know. I don't know.
Sean,
Yes,
not to be.
Did you guys see this clip of this man who owns a restaurant in Texas?
Mm.
And he went on this tirade like in his restaurant because apparently some women were twerking, and he went on this whole like rant
I think it's True
about
Kitchen or something like that.
something like that
Yeah.
about how like I opened this place for Black people to come, to have an upscale place to come, and you don't need to come into my restaurant, and women need to have more respect for themselves, and you know blah, 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 blah. And if you're not going to have respect for yourself in this classy restaurant, then you need to get the fuck out of my restaurant.
That's what he said.
That's what
He did say, I expect the men to behave respectfully, and I think the ladies should do the same or something like that. Yeah, he did. Okay. So, in fairness,
Mm-hmm.
the women were supposedly standing on the couches and standing on the table twerking. He came over to them, asked them more than once to please settle down and to stop.
Mm.
And they did not. So then he got really upset. And that's when he said what Siobhan said on
Mhm.
that.
He's a black
I
owner? Black
He's
man?
a
The
black
black
owner.
owner of a black establishment, essentially. To provide some context,
Yes.
this establishment had a live DJ, had a section where there was bottle service. The DJ was not spinning old school Motown. It was body
It
yaddy
was,
yaddy 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 yaddy.
yo, they were specifically playing Throw That in the Circle.
Mm-hmm. And Meg the Stallion.
Yeah.
Um, and when I read his statement, he said there were 3 tables who were misbehaving, and he spoke to those 3 tables. And then when he had to speak to the 4th, so I don't know if he spoke to the same person 3 different
Okay.
times. I think he spoke to 3 different tables.
Gotcha.
Mm.
Okay. There are supposedly holes in the couch where the lady was on the couch with her heels poked holes in his couch.
And they had their hands on the glass or
On
something
the
like
glass,
that.
and it was like dangerous. Like
They were twerking.
Hey, get him out of your establishment. That's right. What else? What else is the reason why you own a business and you can make rules for how you want people, whether you want people in your establishment or not? Get on your way and go to the streets in the
it was like,
alley.
this is not a club; it's an upscale restaurant. Now I
Appropriate.
don't understand why they're playing twerk music. The live
In an
DJ was playing twerk
upscale
music in an
restaurant.
upscale restaurant,
With a live DJ and bottle service.
but
You didn't approve the playlist.
Now, and there's some lessons to be learned there. Yeah, I don't have a problem with him asking them to leave.
No.
I don't. Right? Like you asked, they're not doing it. I feel like you have a right to ask people to leave the establishment because he also said, I believe, I don't need your money.
Mm.
To which
he said if you can't come and like chill and like like this, if this is a problem, then leave. I don't need your money. That's what he said. Yeah.
I was having a conversation with my aunt the other day, and she said something really profound to me. And she said, you can't make grown people, like you can't tell grown people what to do.
Mm-hmm. You can't tell grown people what to do.
You can't tell grown people what to do, but you can. So you can set your boundaries. You can set all of that other stuff. So he could say, hey guys, this is not the place for that. If I have to come over here again, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. But when he got up and then tried to lecture them on how to be good Black folk,
Mm-hmm.
that became
Not
a
just
little-
them. The
the
entire
whole restaurant.
He was like, turn the music down, turn it off while I make this speech about how classy this place is, and then said, get the fuck
dropped
out of
the
Get
my
the
F-bomb.
fuck out. Get the fuck out. What? I'm so
I
confused.
clearly have not watched this video, okay? So I clearly don't have the same heat that y'all have around this owner. But for whatever reason, like I could just imagine poor thing. Like he's like, I'm gonna make this great establishment. It's gonna be the thing that we needed. Like this, they always think that we only want to go to the ratchet spots, but no.
That is how he was putting it out there.
Like if I just give them nice,
I'm doing
things,
this
they
for the
will treat me
culture,
nicely.
and y'all
But
are.
then you know how somebody tears up your
Y'all
house
can't-
and you're
y'all
like,
don't know
why
how
you
to-
not why you not treating my house the way I treat my house? And you feel some kind of way
Yes.
about it.
No, to
That's
Stacia's
enough.
point, absolutely he should have asked them to leave. He should have spoken to them and asked them to leave.
Mhm.
I don't think all the women in the restaurant needed a lesson from this man about how to be respectful,
It
how to
was a
respect
straw.
themselves.
I think the real issue is people don't really know how to deal with confrontation well. And if you're going to be a restaurant owner, you're going to need to understand how to move the crowd the way, and deal with the customers in a way. And he should have gone to the DJ and asked the DJ, can you play this kind of music? because it's getting the people up too high. So put on that. Really, I mean, you want to play Body Yaddy and throw that in the circle. Taking over for the 2000s. People is gonna get up and start dancing,
especially if the bottles are popping.
So you know, and it's gonna be a certain, so like, you know, change the tone of what you're doing. Hey, no, everybody getting a little crazy. You ask the DJ to take the music down, change it, and then you go to the people like, hey, listen, I kind of, if you could just whatever, you know, cool it down a little bit. Please don't stand on the furniture. I don't want you to stand on the tables. That's not cool. And if they don't stop, you ask them to leave, you know? But like, there should be some responsibility of him to control the atmosphere.
Yeah.
That's
fair.
Kevin on stage, Leanna, like, did a really good job replaying it, like reenacting it. So we'll send that to you. But Kevin on stage is so good. And then didn't DJ Sway, the remix god, didn't he do like a remix to it too?
Probably.
It was really funny. Especially the part where he said, because let me tell you the part that I got real mad at. Like, I could have been at another table. First up, he's stopping the fun for everybody else. And then he's lecturing, again, me on how to be, you know, good black folk, you know, treat you, whatever. And then I think when he said, I don't need your money, bet. Okay.
Yeah.
Noted.
Yours, like, he still need the other people's money because he still gotta, he still needs the, you know.
I mean, watch the clip again, guys, because it sounded like, I don't need y'all's money. I'm doing this for the culture.
No. He was saying, if you can't like behave, then you can leave. I don't need your money. If you can't like behave in the building and, you know, stop dancing on the floor. He wasn't saying I don't need anybody's money.
I just always think you got to be careful about stuff like that. And I'm not talking about nothing else but what I'm about to say here. It just reminded me of when Bill Cosby came out and was like, hey, this is pull your pants up, do all of this stuff. It felt very lecturing, like, stop
respectability it. Like, politics.
Yeah, it's not why I go to school to learn. I go to a lounge or a club to eat and drink. I don't need you yelling at me.
But this is an upscale restaurant, so
because that's exactly what happens at an upscale restaurant. We get yelled at by the owner.
Sit down and eat your food.
Yeah, whatever.
Eat your off the glass
before. Maybe they never been told that. Community, you
off
know,
the glass.
We got to be responsible for our community.
Then tell them to leave.
It takes a community to raise, you know.
It takes a village to raise grown-ass women.
Yes. So if they've never
heard my dad.
Pop before.
You're not my dad.
Maybe they needed a lesson from Pop.
And listen, and sometimes that lesson is, and if any of the rest of y'all think y'all gonna do this, y'all gonna get what they getting. See? Everybody gonna get it. Everybody get out. Everybody get it. I'm turning this car around, everybody getting it.
Well, guys, thank you so much, listening audience. Thank you for bearing with us as we kind of went through some things that were on our mind. We had a great time. I had a great time talking to you ladies, as always. We have one more episode for season 2. Isn't that crazy?
Ooh, yes.
So excited. I think I've had a great time. I think it's been a really good season. Do a lot of cool things. And we have some cool things coming up for season 3. So stay tuned for our next episode. Be on the lookout for season 3. And for now, we hope that you all have a confabulous day.
Continue the experience on our social media handles at The Confab Experience.